Good evening, everyone. I'm Neil Fairbairn from NV Play. I look after the commercial side of the business in the northern part of the world, and I'm joined with my colleague tonight, Kenneth Ray. Kenneth looks after the support side of things, so heavily involved with the ECB and all of the recreational and pro side and all that great stuff going on there. And equally is the support manager for Ireland as well. So some of you, I think, might have crossed paths with him, both from trivial questions about scoring to how to download the laptop application or maybe the tablet application. So yeah, good evening from us. Kenneth, do you want to just say hello to everyone?
Yeah, hi there, everyone. Yes, thanks for the welcome, Neil, and should be good tonight. And probably just echo Emma's thoughts that it's good to do it now as opposed to the last week of April. So yeah, I'll let you crack on, but it'll be good tonight.
Yeah, thanks. If you just shout out, Kenneth, as well, if there's issues technically with the presentation or my audio, that would be great. Okay. So as some of you hopefully are aware, the digital age kind of well and truly hit Ireland probably 2 years ago. Through MV Play, we service both the elite end and the amateur side of the game in Ireland. So it's quite a nice connect, because as people obviously come into the system, they're generating through the pathway and starting to play some maybe professional cricket, or certainly in your franchise cricket. And then obviously the MV Play system is that pathway for them to be able to track all of their video, their scores, and all of that kind of good stuff that goes on. So tonight's presentation is more focused on the live streaming side of our delivery. And just before we start, just to be clear, the live streaming element of our provision on our platform is all done via our laptop app. So some of you might be using mobile scoring or might be using the tablet, but at the moment, the main way that you're going to be able to stream is via the use of our laptop scoring software. The laptop just offers us far greater provision to be able to do more and offer more power to the actual stream and have more control as a user. So I'm just going to kind of take you through some touch points as to what NV Play can do for you on a match day and in and around the cricket season. So first and foremost, professional scoring and match day statistics. We've been in the game for about 12 years now, supplying the likes of Cricinfo and various elite governing bodies with all of the intel that they need to drive their game. So it's pretty much a gold standard solution when it comes to scoring and streaming. Sorry. So live streaming with automated score and overlays, that's what we're here for tonight. Really exciting part of the platform. Online match centers with live stats and video. The online match center, hopefully some of you might have seen that. It's where you would go on a Saturday frantically at kind of 6:45, 7 to see a competing team score. Maybe a friend or family member's been playing. So it's a nice way that people these days are keeping up with the recreational game, much like the professional game is governed through that digital scoring. Automated video highlights. One of the real key features of our delivery is to be able to live stream the game, but ultimately, you know, as per any cricket match, it's 7-8 hours long at its kind of peak. So to go back and watch that full stream on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is highly unlikely. So a big part of our delivery was about getting all of that data and all of that stuff that's being collected and then punching it out into a consumable, you know, manner for people to aggregate. Either it's something to go on social media or maybe a 15-20 minute show reel of that 8-hour broadcast. So that's something that's been really, really important for us. Scoreboard integration and video replay screens. Again, what we've tried to do with the platform is make it as usable as possible on a match day. So having one central person that's tapping or providing the keystrokes to score the game, but having multiple outputs. So being able to score, stream, maybe power a replay screen, all from one scorer's keystrokes on the software. Win and score predictor via our WASP mechanism. So quite a fun and intuitive addition to a match day. Player performance and contribution analysis. So of course there's two sides to this, right? There's the media and there's the fun side and letting everyone see your game. There's also the performance aspect. Maybe we've got a young player who can't sweep, but they can't understand that they can't sweep. So we can use the video to start to paint a picture for players of all levels. And that tool is going to be used, normally more so at an elite level. But as we start to democratize and these tools become common notion in club games all across Ireland, we'll be able to build more performance data back to players and hopefully accelerate their learning. So that's a really exciting part of the platform. DLS is a very important part of the game these days, and the software fully integrates with DLS to provide all of that results-based information that scorers need in real time. And then, of course, we've got other tools that reach out into the elite level with media broadcast tools where other people can engage with one source of truth. So without confusing you and going overboard, the system is capable of being used by many different operators, again, from one source of truth, all reading that data source. So I guess why we're here tonight is why live stream, for those of you that have never considered it or don't really understand its merits. Just a few kind of touch points to start with. So number one, of course, is great for amateur sports clubs. They can increase their revenue. They can provide sponsorship assets on the actual stream, also on highlights. And it's just a great way to basically go out to the marketplace and offer it as something in your portfolio. So, gone are the day really of in-ground boards and sponsors boards around the perimeter fences of grounds. People these days get them purely to kind of stop the ball from going into the bushes and almost do it at cost, because they know that they're going to be able to do far more online with all of their different platforms, with Facebook, YouTube. You've all got your micro community of followers, supporters, people that are connected in the local environment where you're based. So increased revenue streams is obviously top priority. A stronger online presence. When people go around these days and they look to sign their children up, I'm a father myself. I look for things like football classes, cricket classes for my kids. I'm going to go online. I'm going to look at people's online presence. And the streaming tools allow people to get that kind of organic content out there onto their Facebook stories, into their Instagram. It makes you feel alive. It makes you have a heartbeat. People can associate to it. They also like to think that one day their child, their kid, or whoever, maybe they're moving clubs. They'll think that maybe your club's going to stand them in greater stead and provide them a far better opportunity than another club down the road. So that's a really interesting angle of the streaming, as well as that online presence. Accelerate learning. I mentioned that earlier, all about that performance angle. And increased awareness. Again, who are you? Who's your club? What do you do? When do you play? So this can allow people to be able to integrate with match days and just, learn more. We want your first team stars to be admired by the younger people in the club, and they'll probably do that by them watching them every week. Maybe they can't always get to the ground, or they don't, they don't have an ability to get to the ground on a Saturday afternoon, but they might well watch the stream or the highlights. And suddenly you've got a really talented overseas player or a young Irish player that suddenly they can see, and his name's up in lights all the time. It's inspiring. To date, we've obviously been quite strong in the market in England and Wales. We've got a growing presence in Ireland as the clubs come on board. We've got 350 clubs that are now streaming with us. So it's, considerable band, and it picks up traction. We get all of the funny videos and we hear about them from time to time as they tag us on social media. So yeah, that's a number that's really, really starting to accelerate as well already into next season. So it really is kind of hot topic, and obviously those 350 clubs are doing it for a reason, which must have benefits of some note to them. So just a couple of quotes from a couple of clients that we're already working with in Ireland. Muckamore CC, that I'm sure lots of you are familiar with. They've had a brilliant online presence last season. What I've loved about Muckamore is they've really kind of allowed the system to go into the greater depths of the club. Naturally, people are going to always stream first 11 because it's your best output. Muckamore have been really good at going all the way down to the fifth team. They've had the women's on there, the junior teams. So just creating that democratization in the club and making everyone feel like they're part of it by playing games that are streamed on the system. And you can also see they had some good sponsorship initiatives along the way. Northwest Cricket Union with Sarah up there, who worked with us, and They predominantly used it in finals in 2022, and then went ahead last year and streamed more and more cricket. And as you can see here, that one of the things she mentions is about those auto highlights. So it's all about taking those finals and that match day and now making it into something digestible, which is maybe 10 or 15 minutes long, but gives people a good idea of what went on during that match and during those finals. And I'm sure if people want references or they want to speak to a few of the clubs that have already got the system, then I'm sure they would be happy to help, and we can pass on their contact details if they obviously give us permission to do so. For those of you that have used the platform, the idea of this slide is to kind of show you the UI. This is the UI. It's very intuitive. It's easy to use. It's totally customizable, and this is how the scoring kind of screen looks in its plainest format. So going onto the live streaming side of things, within the platform, we can output the stream to two different destinations. It can go to Facebook and also YouTube. Probably 95% of our clients and our clubs are using YouTube. It's just very simple to connect and to use YouTube. It's also probably a more prominent video-based platform than Facebook. You can probably get a little bit caught up in Facebook with actually where people find the video, because it's going into your overall page. You've got your timeline, your photos, and there's lots of different things in Facebook which can make it a little bit tricky to find. So the preferred angle is YouTube. And I just want to show you quickly Muckamore's YouTube page. Can you still see my screen? Is that viewable, Kenneth?
Yeah, I'm just seeing the presentation at the moment.
Hang on, let me just. Okay, we'll come back to that at the end, but I just wanted to show an example of Muckamore's club page, just so people could get an idea of how well that's presented and how easy it is for viewers to be able to see the actual live stream. But I think YouTube as well lends itself to where we are working with amateurs and potentially people under 18 as well, because it's got several different levers that you can pull to either put the stream to private or to unlisted, or for it to be public. So all the GDPR side of things generally gets covered off by YouTube as well. It's really good for that. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the automation within the actual streaming functionality in the software. So just to kind of explain how it actually works, is that through the natural scoring rhythm of your scorer, so by them pressing a 1 or a dot, they're actually powering the live stream subconsciously. So the algorithms and the way the software has been built is that we've got something called auto with cards, which allows everything to auto populate based on the scenarios that are occurring from their streaming. So for instance, when we get to the end of an over, we've got 5 auto cards which will play in sequence, which could be a batting scorecard, a bowling scorecard, a Manhattan, a worm. It could be a partnership card. But ultimately, the message to your scorer and the people using this, because they're obviously going to ask you, this is all great, but it sounds very complicated, and how on earth am I ever going to set all this up? The message in the clear comms from our side and from club officials is that they score and go about their scoring work as normal, and this will work its magic separately. So in a way, you can lock and leave the software, whilst the output will be doing all of the hard work and regurgitating all of those cards and creating the broadcast for your spectators. So there's lots of different ways it can be used. So it can be used with that lock and leave theory of scorer does nothing, he just scores. Or you can have people that are actually, queuing up adverts and maybe batsman graphics, excuse me, or maybe populating cards. So, for example, if there was a break in play and the ball was in the bush, or there was a drinks break, I might think to myself, oh, this has been a great partnership. It's over 150 now. I'll bring up the partnership card and show everyone watching what a great partnerships that this has been so far. So that's kind of the under the bonnet stuff of actually how it's actually working. You only need to visit one of our stream, and we'll have a look on the next slides about what those actual cards look like in the actual stream. But if you look on the right hand side here, this is the control panel that normally people would pin. So this would be removed. You would still have the vision of the video, and your scorer here is scoring in this panel. And on this drop down here, this is your ball by ball delivery data. So you can see this is all really accessible via the scroll bar, and absolutely everything is there. All can be auto edited as well, very quickly and easily. So if they made a mistake 10 overs ago, they can quickly go back. Everything auto updates, and they're back live in the game where they need to be, and everything accordingly on all of the overlay graphics will update as well. So just going into those cards that I mentioned, these are some of the cards and screens. So if I just start in the top left, this is the match title page. This automatically pulls these colors and these logos, these team logos, from the server. So once you've set your team up and once you've done all of your web admin stuff, the system will be talking to the server and it'll be pulling these down. So it's something that you don't need to do at the start of every game. You can, of course, update them and change them if you've got centenary logos or you've got a different women's logo. You can, of course, go in with granular detail and change those on a game by game basis. One of the really nice assets that is controllable by yourselves, by the owner of the software, is this card in the top right. Now, this is basically a PNG. It's a graphic card or can be an MP4, but this would play after a 4-6 or wicket. And this can be totally customizable to your club, to your sponsors, to whatever you want. Or we've got, default ones within the system ourselves that say MV Play, but we allow you to control this asset. So you actually build this yourself. You make this, you could build this on Canva or one of the many kind of applications that's out there for generating visuals and that type of thing, and then you quite simply slot them into the software. And again, these could be changed game on game, competition on competition, relevant to which sponsors, relevant to which side, all done very, very easily. Bottom left is team logos, just makes it look professional, and also is a really nice cue for a spectator to understand who's batting and who's bowling. Fundamentally, batting side obviously on the left next to the actual score of the number of runs, bowling side next to the latest bowling figures. Top left the bottom right slide now, sponsors. This top left asset here is again controllable by you as a club. So many clubs probably have several sponsors. You've probably got a lead sponsor. They might pay you slightly more money, or it might be a team player that you prefer to the other sponsors, or it might be that you rotate those sponsors every game. But that's the actual logo that would remain throughout the whole duration of the live stream. You can change that during the game. It would be a little bit fiddly and it wouldn't really make sense. So people would probably maybe change it during innings, but again, probably doesn't really make much sense. Probably again, more likely to change that sponsor dependent on who is playing and when, and maybe having different sponsors for different things. If little Johnny in the under 15s has a dad with a insurance company, then maybe he's sponsoring their team games or the youth section. So his logo appears for that set of games. Hopefully that all makes sense. Whizzing through these cards, top left is a bowling card, pretty self-explanatory. Top right, batting card. Bottom left, partnerships, and bottom right, match summary. Now, these are the cards that I mentioned auto-populate throughout the stream. So no magic, nothing has to be done, no creation being done by your scorer or the operator. These are all automatically driven through the data that your scorer is providing the software. And again, they are customized and bespoke with team logo and team core color. The score overlay, which is the baseline. So we like to think that our design is one of the best out there. If any of you follow the provincial crickets, you would have seen this a lot on the Irish YouTube channel. You would have also seen this a lot on any domestic cricket in England and New Zealand. We're the preferred supplier to all 18 first-class counties in the UK and also several of the state sides in New Zealand. So that's become kind of part of the DNA of, cricket delivery online is you'll probably be familiar with this style. I really like these reports, these next ones. I think they add a lot of context to the match. So if someone's joining the stream, maybe during the second innings, or maybe they don't really know the team and the players, but they're interested in the game context, then these Manhattan type slides, the statistical slides, the run rate and the worm really kind of just give people a feel of what's going on in the game very quickly. And again, these will auto populate. During an innings break, and also during a drinks break, and also at the fall of a wicket, these will rotate to give viewers a good idea of what's going on. So at the start of the call, when I was going through some of the benefits, I mentioned about the highlights. So what this slide here is doing is it's showing you the software UI for what we call the video package manager. So what the system is very good at doing at the end of the game or during the game is picking out your ball by ball clips. So when I say ball by ball clips, as your scorer scores the game, so let's say that they press a 4 for the first ball of the over, that 4 will be processed as a clip, an automatic 17-second clip. And you can either collect them for every ball, or you can typically, in the club game, collect them for 4 sixes and wickets, based on the fact that, generally speaking, that's what people are interested in. And it's going to kind of limit somewhat what you can punch out as a highlights reel. If you show every ball, it's pretty much like showing the live stream, just with not so much break in between and all the stuff that goes on in between the balls. So the system has got a way of bringing all of those deliveries together via this pop-out box in our generation tab, and then pops them into this display here, where you can then create this package. The nice thing about this is you can directly play this into your live stream. So if we talk about a tea break, or maybe we talk about the end of the game, and someone scored 100 or got 5 wickets, we can very quickly select and filter that data and play that as a highlight. We can then, of course, do the actual overall game highlights, and then we can publish them to YouTube, to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, send them on WhatsApp groups. You can do as you want with those clips once you've got them. The point I'm trying to make is that the system is very intuitive in bringing those together inside the actual software. So again, it's not like you're spending a lot of time and having to take all of those clips from a folder that's third party in the computer and trying to get them in order and put them together and make them, and spending hours doing all of that stuff. So that's a really nice feature, and it's actually one feature that we're really working on to constantly improve, because we know it's so important and it is heavily used by a lot of our clubs. So where does all the data go? So once the match starts, it gets driven into the MV Play Match Center. So some of you hopefully would have visited the MV Play Match Center through the season, checking scores. Maybe you're having a little cheeky look at yourself batting if you've played a game on the camera system. But it's where the game is archived, and it's where it's where it lives. It becomes, an historic URL which is archived, and everything is stored here from the live stream. So this is actually embedded from YouTube, so your community of viewers can watch it live in YouTube underneath your club page, or they can come to the match center, and within the match center they've got scorecard. They've got the ability to watch every single dismissal from the actual scorecard. They've got ball by ball. If you've got ball by ball for every ball, they can click on any ball and watch any video. If it's only for 4-6 wicket, then naturally it's for those outputs. And in the video tab here, you can then select by players. So clicking on this tab provides you with a drop down, and then you can also select by all of these variables here. So you can look at all of the wickets, the 4s or the 6s. So a really nice way for people to consume the game, a really nice way for your sponsors to get more prominence. And it just adds a level of professionalism to, your club's output on a match day, to be able to present that link, that URL to Twitter. You've basically just saved yourself a whole host of phone calls, text messages, WhatsApps. We've all been there, where you're giving a father or a mother 4.1 dot ball. We need 6 to win, blah, blah, blah. You can just send them here. They can watch it for themselves. And, you know, it's far more exciting because if they've got a fairly good connection, you'll probably be watching it near on real time, maybe slightly, you know, one ball off the pace, something like that. But the match center is pivotal, and that's our endpoint for all of this great data. Just touch on the performance side. Not really relevant to this call, but we do have the ability to provide, you know, a host of performance analysis tools as well. So this is where you can actually tag. So you could tag the length, you could tag the wagon wheel, you could tag the ball past the stumps, and a host of different outcomes here: shot types, feet movement, events, shot connection, delivery types, in swing, out swing, slower balls, and ultimately you can also grab our drawing tool feature here and annotate over the video. So you can maybe draw a box or an arrow or show people where their feet should have been, excuse me. And that's probably another discussion, but it's something that I wanted to make everyone aware of. It is there if you require it, and it might be, you know, the slightly higher levels. Ultimately as well, you've always got to remember that to do all this stuff, you need someone who understands and knows what they're doing. So that's normally the critical mass. Scoreboards. Several of you have probably got customizable scoreboards at your grounds, some electronic, some probably manual. Just to let you know that the software totally integrates with electronic scoreboards. So do check with suppliers prior to buying a scoreboard. If you're using MV Play and you plan on this being part of your club's delivery on a match day, check with them. They will all know us. They will all know MV Play through our connection in the UK. I would imagine. I think actually FSL is Irish based, but I think the majority of them are in England. So no doubt they're servicing the Irish market. But either get in touch with us or just speak to them. They'll know straight away. They basically can't exist without guys like us, you know, integrating with APIs with guys like us and some of our competitors. So pretty much bulletproof there. So we've spoken a lot about the software, and just to be crystal clear on this next part of the presentation, NV Play, the company that we work for, is a software house. We build software and we provide Ireland with those software platforms to do everything that we've just discussed. As a byproduct of starting live streaming, of course, people ask us which camera, what camera, how does it work? What can I do for this ground, that ground, this ground? We've pretty much experienced every single environment. So what we did was take it upon ourselves to actually build our own cricket specific kits that are all built for different purposes and also for different environments. So for example, if I start from the right hand side, these two orange based systems here, these are designed for very close proximity contact with the laptop because the video has to go back and be routed into the laptop. So that's why they're slightly cheaper, or a lot cheaper in this case. But you can see that this is a very basic USB camera. This is a 10-meter cabled camera, which just goes on a tripod. When we say 10 meter, that's 10-meter bandwidth. So as we then go up the kind of pay scale here, these cameras are now using an IP camera. So an IP camera offers you great provision for things like being weatherproof, being robust, allowing good quality and definition, and also being able to transmit the footage over far greater ranges. So again, the price points here, these three pink systems here are all using the same camera. They're just connected or hung slightly differently. The Club Elite uses a tripod. Here we use a telescopic pole, but basically we would be able to provide you with a system in accordance with your requirement. These are all shipped out of the UK and they will come with support. We've got a third-party agent. His name's Philip King, who services all of the UK clubs. So he looks after that. He supports that, and you ultimately broker the deal for the camera through him. We obviously work closely with him, so it's kind of a a partnership where we would push you through to him and advise on the best system. There is also the ability for you to bring your own camera. So it's really not rocket science. We pretty much accept any feed into the actual software, because the way the system works is that it's been built for the top level. So we're used to taking live broadcast feed. We'll take a HDMI, Cat5, video capture card, Blackmagic. And what I would recommend doing for any novices out there is, if this is interesting in terms of being done for your club, is probably put some feelers out to the wider community. What you'll probably find is there's someone in your club or your network that knows about this stuff, that knows about video networking, maybe is an electrician, because for someone that's in that world, it's very, very basic stuff, and they can probably come up with a local solution for you, potentially a lot cheaper than what we sell the kits for. But these kits are good. They're built for purpose. They're waterproof. They're ruggedized. They've got remote batteries, lots of things that people think that they can do at the start of the season on their own. They'll soon come back to us because they've been hit by one of those challenges. And it normally is height, power, or connectivity distance. Someone just put a message on there which flashed up. Is it connectable via OBS? Yes, you absolutely. You could do all of this through OBS or vMix, and then you could bring that video into the laptop. And on that note, good question, whoever that was, thank you, because we can take up to 4 feeds. So you could have 4 independent feeds. I certainly wouldn't recommend that. I'd recommend 1 feed to get you going. 1, because of the cost. 2, because of the resource of time to set things up. And 3, and most importantly, is the more cameras you get, the higher powered laptop you will require. And the laptop we'll come on to in a minute, but that will start to become quite an expensive component if you're looking to go full blowout. And the gentleman or lady who just put that message on there about OBS is a good way to go. They clearly probably know what they're doing, but that's a way of basically mixing the footage prior to it coming into our software, and then us taking your already mixed feed. So you can have lots of cameras. You give us the one that you want during that moment. We'll spit it out into the software. But probably that's going to the next level for this call, and that's things that Kenneth and I can answer after this call, and you can email through and speak to us directly about your hardware requirements. But hopefully that makes sense for most of the laymen out there. Not easy if you don't know anything about technology, but we're trying to simplify it. So moving on to the laptop, obviously a very, very important component. Everything that we've discussed this evening is based around the laptop being able to control all of this, package it up and spit it out the other side. So I'll be sharing this deck with the wider community on the call after the call, or send it through to Emma. But this essentially is our standard minimum spec for streaming. Windows 10, Intel i7. This is probably the critical mass, or not probably, this is the critical mass, is that it's an Intel i7 and of a significant generation, so fairly new within the last 2 years, to be able to give us that oomph, along with the NVIDIA graphics card. So the graphics card is basically saying, when I'm going to live stream and do something live, I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you a little push. And the graphics card that we recommend and test a lot of our software with is anything from RTX 3050 upwards, and with the brand NVIDIA. If you type, sorry, excuse me, just take a quick sip. If you were to type Windows 10, NVIDIA graphics, RTX 3050 and i7 into Google, if you needed a new laptop, you'll probably see things popping up around the 800 to £1,000 range. But that will be a solid piece of kit that will last you through at least the next 3 or 4 years, and be able to cope with doing all of this. Because the last thing you want to do is go ahead with it, get all your sponsors, buy the cameras, buy the license from us, only to find that your laptop is not capable of doing all the great stuff that you've promised everyone, or that you were thinking you were going to be able to do. So you kind of just need to reverse engineer it slightly. And on that note, internet, a bit like petrol in a car. If you haven't got any, you don't go anywhere quick. So really important that people understand that you need not a significant, but a fairly strong upload speed. we recommend 8 megs upload, and that would be a typical, if people are on fiber, probably absolutely fine. A lot of people in England now, I keep referencing England because it's where a majority of our clients are. There's a growing band of people using mobile phones, so using personal hotspots or using 5G data SIMs. It tends to work very well on those devices because it's normally only got one thing that's connected to it. If you go into a club environment and people don't really understand their network provision, they're probably not optimizing it for the stream. So you've got probably a couple of guys watching Soccer Saturday, a couple of guys watching Netflix, some are probably watching the stream. Suddenly it starts to get a bit squeezed. So again, without going into too much detail on this call, it's just something to be aware of and just think about prior to, starting to pull all the project strings together. Onto the critical mass, of course, the costings. So I've touched on two things. So the hardware, you saw the range of camera prices, and you can go and get your own, or you could do whatever you want to do within a price budget that you've got. And then you've got your laptop provision for either buying a laptop or finding one. The third part of it is what you actually pay us to actually use the video part of MV Play. The software's free from Cricket Island. So Cricket Island provides you with laptop, tablet, mobile scoring platforms for free. That's the score. If you want the video provision on top, sorry guys, it's an added license fee. And you can see here we do a discounted 3-year deal. So next season, and payable next season, would be 250. That's for the streaming and highlights, and I think that's 300 euros. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's 300 euros. 2025 500, 2026 500, 600, 600 in euros. That's for the 3-year multi-year deal, streaming and highlights. We've then got a rolling 12-month license. So for 2024, £500, just if you want that on its own. And if you just want highlights, £100. I'll just touch on this one here. If you were, for example, in an area where for love nor money, you can't get a connection right now, there's no fiber, there's no mobile signal. The beauty of using a laptop is, remember those clips I spoke about that went into the video package manager? They're all stored locally on the machine, and you can still create highlights. You just wouldn't have the live stream. So you're still digesting video. You can use the highlights package, punch out your highlights when you take the computer to somewhere where you've got a connection, and off you go. So kind of all's not lost kind of approach with that highlights only package. And so that's been created for two reasons. One, for people with no network coverage, and secondly, for people that maybe can't afford the streaming license in year one, but want to just kind of touch the water, sample the water, and then maybe they'll look to do something more in years 2 and 3. So that's just a kind of summary as to the difference in the license packages. This column is highlights, £100 per year, live streaming, and you can see that you've just got far more flexibility with the live streaming, because basically you can live stream, and the highlights, you're not going out live, but hopefully that will make sense. How to order. So there is a link that's available that again we'll share with you. It's actually via this presentation, so we'll share this out. It's just basically like a touch form where you're just saying what you want to order, or if you want more information, we can arrange a call. We can have another call with Kenneth, whatever you want to do. But yeah, we'll share the link of where you can express more interest or actually go ahead and place an order. When you place an order, essentially what we're doing is we're taking your MV Play ID that's associated to your club, and so when you log into Score, and we're then attaching the video license to that ID, so that when you log in, all of those features are available for you to use. And there you go. That's the email address that you can use to get in touch with us, inquiries at MV Play. We'll also provide our own personal details to Emma as well for anyone on the call.